The following is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the American Shaman Show are solely that of the hosts or guests of CBD American Shaman of Southeast Wisconsin and not WTMJ Radio or Good Karma Brands Milwaukee, LLC. Dedicated to bringing wellness to the world through rich CBD oil, this is the American Shaman Show, presented by CBD American Shaman of Southeast Wisconsin. A CBD like no other. Now, along with franchise owner Matt Walsh, here's WTMJ's Steve Scafidi.
Welcome to the CBD American Shaman Show, heard every Sunday afternoon right here on WTMJ. I'm your host, Steve Scafidi. I host the Steve Scafidi Show, heard Monday through Friday, 8:35 to noon here on WTMJ. Joined by Matt Walsh, store owner for CBD American Shaman. Matt, let's talk about this great company you work for, American Shaman. How'd you get started?
Vince Sanders is the CEO of American Shaman, and his story is what really got me excited about this company. Vince, when we have him on the show, and we're going to have him on the show, he is the most accessible business owner I've ever met. Each of our store owners once a week get to have an hour to 2 hours of our time to ask our company president direct questions. And these aren't easy questions. I mean, this is a tough industry. This is a tough time for a lot of businesses, and all the store owners can ask Vince whatever we want, and Vince is going to answer. There is complete transparency with this company. And his founding story is amazing. His uncle had cancer, and Vince was not in the CBD business at the time, didn't even consider it as an option. But his uncle, who he considered a brother, he was that close, his uncle had cancer. And all his research, he was looking at different ways to help with cancer, and he kept coming over to cannabinoids. He's like, but where do I get it? It was illegal. I mean, this was in 2014, 2015. It was illegal in the USA at the time, so there was no way for him to just go out and buy it. So he kind of had to do some research on how to make it. And so he put out a call to all the people in his area. He just wanted the worst ditchweed possible because he wanted to make CBD for his uncle to use for cancer. And so this kind of consumed him for a period of time until he was actually able to make a product that he delivered to his uncle. Just a pure extract of cannabis based on what he was researching online, provided that to his uncle, who was also going through traditional cancer treatments. And whether it was the CBD that he gave his uncle or whether it was the chemotherapy, for whatever reason, the cancer had subsided. And Vince, in his heart of hearts, really believed that it was the cannabis-based product that did this. Unfortunately, his uncle did pass away, and it wasn't related to cancer. It was related to a staph infection that he had gotten from a compromised immune system from all the chemotherapy. So while it's a great story for him to get the company started to provide relief for his uncle, and that's how the company was founded, it's still a sad story because he lost his uncle to a terrible disease. But this really instilled in Vince a passion to bring what he learned to the public. And he decided that, you know what, he's going to roll out CBD American Shaman. He just, something in his gut told him that this is what he had to do. So he completely redid his booth, and American Shaman was launched. And one of the best stories is how he came up with the name. He just wanted to say something that was made in America. Vince is very passionate about his country, and he wants the product to be proudly made in the USA, and it is. But he also wanted to be able to say something medical, that this is for medical reasons, but without making a medical claim. And so how can he say that in the name of his company without making a medical claim? And the word shaman came to his head. Shaman obviously is a healer, and so he just wanted to have that particular word associated with the product that he's making because he generally wants to help heal people in whatever way possible. So that's the little story about how Vince started making our products. So we're a compassion-based company, true and true, and we still have a program called Compassionate Care. People with qualifying medical conditions can go into one of our stores, fill out an application, and then we do offer discounts to people that just have a hard time living life with the conditions that they have. So we're still compassion focused. We have a program called Cancer 80. So anyone that has cancer, and a lot of our listeners out there might unfortunately have this terrible, terrible condition where people that do have cancer, and again, this is how the company was founded, would be entitled to 80% off of retail prices. Unfortunately, this is online only because when we are paying 80% off of retail prices, that's far below the price that a store owner would pay. But we're compassion based, and we want to make this product accessible to people because Vince believes that there is health, wellness, and healing with our products.
Matt Walsh, CBD American Shaman store owner. Let's wrap the first segment of the show here today with a real quick discussion about nanotechnology. I think it's what separates what CBD American Shaman does from some other CBD distributors. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so why Nano CBD? This is a great question, and this is one of the things one of the first answers that I needed. So when we went out for training, I had to understand nano. And when Vince talks about nano, he takes something that's really complex and makes it really easy. So basically, hemp extract has pretty low bioavailability, meaning you extract this from the hemp plant, so it's going to be at a certain percentage of CBD. Now, when you take that hemp extract and put it in a carrier oil and put it underneath your tongue sublingually, you only get about 10% of what you're taking. So it doesn't matter how many milligrams are actually present in that extract. When you put it underneath your tongue and that's the place for maximum absorption, you only get about 10% of what you're actually taking. Well, that's a problem. This is very expensive as it is. If you want to get a product that works, you have to buy something that's really concentrated. So you're going to pay a huge premium just to hopefully get a little bit of relief. And so Vince took a look at this and said, nanotechnology. So nanotechnology is something that's not exclusive to CBD. In fact, nanotechnology by definition is it's a measure of size. It's a nanometer. A nanometer measures the size of an object, and nanometers are tiny, tiny. A bacteria is approximately 200 nanometers. The particle size of our CBD is much smaller than bacteria. And what that means is when we ingest a nano CBD, we're going to absorb it no matter what. So we completely eliminate the problem of low bioavailability, breaking down the particle size. And what this does, it makes our product a much better value for your dollar. You don't have to pay X number of dollars, and we're talking large dollars for a 2,500 milligram bottle of CBD when you can get our 300 milligram bottle of Nano CBD and get the same performance. So it's important because Nano CBD is going to work faster as well. So there's many reasons why we nano RCB, and ultimately, and I've said this before, it comes down to performance. Nanotechnology CBD will work faster. There are no limits to absorption, and it's a much better value for your dollar. Vince recognized this right away and said, well, we're going to do this. And so we're one of the only companies that does this, and it's just a matter of time. Other companies can do it, but it takes time. Other companies would rather just make a higher concentration, sell it for a higher amount of money, and be done with it. Not American Shaman. American Shaman says, we want to make a product that works, and we want to make it affordable to people. And how do we do that? We nano our CBD. That's the reason why.
You're listening to the American Shaman Show, heard every Sunday here on WTMJ, joined by Matt Walsh, store owner. Coming up in segment 2, some key terms about CBD.
You're listening to the American Shaman Show, presented by CBD American Shaman of Southeast Wisconsin on News Radio WTMJ.
Welcome back to the CBD American Shaman Show, heard every Sunday afternoon right here on WTMJ. I'm joined by Matt Walsh, store owner for CBD American Shaman. Matt, one of the things I want to kind of break down for people, some of the key terms. We've all heard of CBD, and we've heard a little bit about on the previous shows about what it can do, but let's talk about some of the key terms. Let's start with the term CBD. What does it mean?
All right, CBD, that's short for cannabidiol. That is a compound that's found in heavy concentrations in the hemp plant, and it's the reason why we have so much buzz. It's a chemical compound that seems to interact with our endocannabinoid system and generally have a calming effect on the central nervous system and anti-inflammatory effect throughout the body. It has a non-impairing effect, and this is so important for our listeners. This doesn't impair your thoughts. It doesn't cause a high. It doesn't cause a euphoria. It may take the edge off a little bit, and that's going to be welcome in most cases. I'd like to go through life taking the edge out if I can. So not impairing at all, and this is so vitally important to understand.
The other big one is THC. I know it's got a long technical name, but this one gets talked about a lot. Explain it.
Yeah, so THC is the compound that's found in marijuana that does cause the high and the euphoria. THC is short for tetrahydrocannabinol. And this is the stuff that's legal in Illinois. This is the stuff that states are legalizing and generating thousands upon thousands of dollars in tax revenue. THC is a compound that's going to overstimulate the same receptors in our brain that CBD interacts with, causing the high. So CBD and THC interact in our brain completely differently. THC causes a high, and the reason why, it's a controlled substance. CBD does not cause that high or euphoria, and the reason why, it's not a controlled substance. And believe it or not, the long-term use of THC can inhibit the natural production of our own endocannabinoids, and this can have a detrimental effect on your health. So people that are THC users, you should really consider using CBD because it can help your body work a little bit better, because THC can actually cause that system to shut down a little bit.
You're listening to the CBD American Shaman Show on WTMJ, joined by Matt Walsh. Matt, one of the other big terms people use when they're talking about CBD is full spectrum oil.
This is the oil that you want. If you're going to get a cannabis product, I should preface that saying, if you're going to get a cannabis product, you want a product that has the most amount of extract from the hemp as is possible. And that's what a full spectrum oil is. It's derived from hemp and contains many cannabinoids, including CBD. It also means it has THC. There might be another minor cannabinoid called CBG, which I talked about having an energizing and stimulating effect on our body. There's going to be a cannabinoid called CBN, not really going to be found in hemp. It's only usually found in old cannabis because the acid form of THC has to be exposed to light for that one to get. But we make a product from CBN in our store. So a full spectrum oil is going to have everything. And there are other properties of the hemp plant as well called terpenes. Terpenes that are almost like essential oils. They give the hemp plant its smells, its tastes, and its aroma. And the properties of the hemp plant also have stimulating effects on our body as well. The hemp plant is going to have some fatty acids, it's going to have some essential vitamins and minerals. And so there are so many things that are going to be found in a full spectrum oil that are beneficial for our body. So when you're getting a CBD product, you're going to want to get a full spectrum oil, of course, unless you don't want THC, and we'll talk about that next.
All right, so let's talk about the broad spectrum. What's the difference?
So when you hear the word broad spectrum, it just means that the THC has been removed. American Shaman has a THC-free product, but it's not a broad spectrum oil. We start ours a little bit different. We start with a CBD isolate, and then we add in some other cannabinoids and some terpenes to kind of mimic a broad spectrum, because our headquarters are in Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas has a 0 THC law, and Missouri has a 0.3% THC for cannabis products or CBD products. And so we don't mess around. When we have a THC-free product, that there's no THC in there for our customer, because some people just, they can't get over the stigma. I mean, there's a doctor that did a study, and he discovered the endocannabinoid system, very, 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 very small amounts of THC seem to protect the brain cells in mice. So THC at its root isn't bad. Too much of it's bad, but in small amounts, it seems to help the CBD maybe work a little bit better. And we'll talk about that in a second as well.
So let's talk about some of the benefits of all this coming together. You called it the Entourage Effect. Explain what that means and how these products can kind of all work together.
And when I talked about the terpenes and how they're kind of like essential oils and they can have stimulating effects on our body, well, the Entourage Effect is the reason why full spectrum oils are desired. The Entourage Effect is all the properties of the hemp plant, all the cannabinoids, all the terpenes, all the different parts of the hemp plant working synergistically together to provide relief to our body. And the full spectrum extracts seem to be about 30% more effective. And I got this information from Vince Sanders and also from Dr. Bob Kaufman. And our listeners need to understand that American Shaman is a different CBD company. We rely heavily on our doctors. We have 2 doctors on staff for medical research. And when the FDA asked for companies to submit comments, we were the only company, or one of the only companies, come in with legit medical research. The gentleman I'm going to ask our listeners to maybe take a closer look at is Dr. Bob Kaufman. Go to cbddrbob.com, and Dr. Bob is going to be able to talk a lot about these terms. But basically, the Entourage Effect is all the cannabinoids of the hemp plant, all the terpenes working synergistically better than CBD isolated by itself. So if you have your choice between CBD isolated by itself or a full spectrum oil, always go with a full spectrum oil.
You've been listening to the American Shaman Show, heard every Sunday afternoon on WTMJ, joined by Matt Walsh, store owner. After the break, this is an important one. We've talked about the benefits. We've talked about some of the key terms. Location, location, location. Where can you get those great CBD American Shaman products? We'll discuss that next right here on WTMJ.
This is the American Shaman Show, presented by CBD, American Shaman of Southeast Wisconsin, on News Radio WTMJ.
Welcome back to the CBD American Shaman Show on WTMJ. And Steve Scavidi, joined by Matt Walsh, store owner for CBD American Shaman. They talk about it. You hear this term, location, location, location. You guys have a lot of area locations. Let's talk about where they're at. What do they offer?
Location, location, Steve, you're right. So there are 8 locations in southeastern Wisconsin. I like to start from north to south to give our listeners an idea of where to find us. So the first location, starting north to south, will be Menominee Falls on Silver Spring Drive, just west of Interstate 41 by the Quick Trip there. There's 2 locations in Brookfield. There's one on Capitol and Calhoun on the northern side of Brookfield. There's also a location on Blue Mound Road in the Brownstone Shopping Center, also kind of on the intersection of, I guess, Blue Mound and Calhoun. There's a store in Waukesha on Silverdale Road, just off of exit 293 off of I-94. In West Allis, there's a location on National and Cleveland, right in the Piggly Wiggly Shopping Center there, and Target's also there, so very good location. A location in Franklin, Wisconsin at the intersection of 76 and Rawson, right in the Pick and Save Shopping Center there. A location in downtown Racine on Main Street near 3rd Avenue. There's a location in Kenosha near the intersection of 18th Street and 22nd Avenue. And then for our expanded listeners, there's locations in Oshkosh, Green Bay, Madison, Sun Prairie, Portage, and Wisconsin Dells. I think WTMJ has a pretty good reach. We might be all the way out there as well. So if anyone listening, we can be found. You just have to find us. We are open, we are accessible, and we are here to help.
Matt Walsh joining me in the CBD American Shaman Show on WTMJ. One of the things that I hear from people about is, one, where are they at? 2, what's this store experience like? And one of the things that I always tell people is, 1, I use the product. 2, their experience is a lot different than other CBD distributors. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about Vince when he started the company. He understood that there's a stigma associated with cannabis, and so he wanted to make his stores look completely different. He wanted to have a natural look. So all the American Shaman locations are going to have beautiful stone countertops, and then we have natural wood walls, natural wood shelving. So when you come in, it's almost like a spa experience. It's a warm, welcoming environment. We have seating areas for people. A lot of our customers come in and they're not able to move around as well as they used to, so we have seating areas for our customers. Basically, it's kind of set up, a lot of customers say this is like a really nice doctor's office. It's just set up for comfort. It's set up to be warm and welcoming. And what I really like about our store, Steve, is we have that sample counter. This is what really separates American Shaman from those other CBD companies, is we have a sample counter where our customers can come in and they can try the product, they can taste it, they can touch it, they can smell it, because our senses are important. Some people, they don't want to take it because it tastes bad. Well, let's find something that tastes good to you. Okay, we'll find something that tastes good to you.
And I've tried the gummies products, the water-soluble stuff. I've tried probably 5 or 6 different ways to consume CBD. And I've said, personally, it's been very beneficial for me. Alleviated some anxiety, obviously some knee pain occasionally. When I tell people about American Shaman, and they've listened to the show, heard every Sunday here on WTMJ, it's always about the experience. You just talked about the store, but it's also about the people that work at the stores. Highlight some of these folks, yourself included. You can deliver the information in a quick one-on-one conversation that gets people into the store, makes them feel comfortable, and probably the more important piece, gets them on the right path to feeling better and sleeping better.
So we have 8 different locations. There's different store owners, but we all work together. So we all partner together to provide a unique customer experience. And so we're knowledgeable. To open an American Shaman franchise, you have to go through training. You have to be knowledgeable on the products that you sell. So we don't let anybody open a store. And then we have to look at the heart. I mean, we had Brad on our show previously. We have 7 other store owners in our area that are just as passionate as Brad and I. And when I got into this business, I'll speak for myself, is I wanted to learn as much as I could. Like when I got into this, I got in because the product worked for me. I didn't understand how it worked, but when I started to understand why it did, I was like, the people need to know about this. This is something that I had no idea was out there, and why isn't that information getting to people? Well, American Shaman has a pretty unique thing where we set up brick and mortar stores for people to come in to ask those questions, to put the pieces of the puzzle together. If I were to go online right now and do some research on CBD, it's so many different things. How do you make sense of it all? Well, if you got a bunch of different pieces of the puzzle and you can't put it together, what good is that puzzle for you? If you come to a store, maybe ask them those questions, the store owners can help put those pieces of the puzzle together. So if you have questions, American Shaman, we are here to answer those questions. And we have so many different locations. Ask yourself, why are there so many American Shaman locations? Well, we got passionate store owners and the products work. It's a winning combination.
He is Matt Walsh, store owner for CBD American Shaman. This is the CBD American Shaman Show. Matt, give me 30 seconds. 30 seconds on why people should find your stories and try CBD. 30 seconds.
We are designed to receive cannabinoids. CBD is found in the hemp plant. It interacts with our body, causing our bodies to work better. Anyone that needs help with stress, anyone that has aches or pains, anyone that might need a better night's sleep, anybody that just wants to have solid digestive health, come into a store right away and learn how our products can help you.
I love it, Matt. This has been the CBD American Shaman Show, heard every Sunday right here on WTMJ. We'll do it again next Sunday. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Steve Scafidi, right here on WTMJ.
You've been listening to the American Shaman Show, presented by CBD American Shaman of Southeast Wisconsin, a CBD like no other. For information on any of the products you've heard about, visit cbdamericanshaman.com. The preceding was a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the American Shaman Show are solely that of the hosts or guests of CBD American Shaman of Southeast Wisconsin, and not WTMJ Radio or Good Karma Brands Milwaukee, LLC.